I got signed at the Humpty Dance video.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people may not know that story. So what is it?
Shit, that was it. My man Rod Houston, who I still credit with actually listening to the tape, he was in the video department, and he came to the Humpty Dance video on Tommy Boy's behalf to oversee shit. And I gave him a cassette back in the day. He listened to that shit on the plane. They flew me out a couple weeks later, and that was that.
So why on Scarface's Groove, that made the album from the single? Ebony was also on there, which made the album. So what made those songs make it, and By Night and Power to People not make it?
Oh, damn, you really went back. I have no idea. I know when I first got into it, Tommy Boy approached me with a single deal. They said, we'll give you a single deal with an album option. And it was like $3,500. And I told him point blank, no, I'm not interested in that. And I didn't even really know about Tommy Boy's history at the time because I'm West Coast based. You know, we knew we knew Pac Jam and Space is the Place and all this, you know, the Johnson Crew shit. And obviously looking for the perfect beat and, you know, a Soul Sonic Force. But we didn't really know, you know, anything else about it. And everybody that has become iconic on the label, Pac, Latifah, Naughty by Nature, De La Soul, all of them were starting when I was starting. You know what I'm saying? So who could have foreseen, you know, what has transpired over the years? But I didn't know. And I reflexively just said, I'm not interested in that single deal. And I don't, you know, that's letting me know you don't believe in me. I was still in college at the time. And then they turned around and they said, we're going to give you an album deal with, you know, I think it was like a 3-album. It was like a 4-album deal. I said, okay, I'm fucking with it. And that was it. And I was signed and I was on BET and on the radio and all this shit before I even got out of school. I'd be at the house playing Nintendo and shit, and my shit be on BET. It was a trip. It was a trajectory was hella fast. You know, my first show was at the nightclub Night Break in San Francisco, and it was like 75 people in the audience. And my second show was Summer Jam. So
that's a big leap.
It was hella fast, yeah. So it was cool. It was cool. But you know, and then going places and, you know, being exposed to different shit and being out on the road. I mean, that changes your outlook on life. And, you know, I just soaked all that shit up over the years, and, you know, and it allows me to empathize with what other people got going on. Not only in America, but in other countries too. You know, you see a lot of times you see the effects that we have on other people, you know, and you know, all that shit is shapes my worldview and the material I create.
So what was it, what's the feeling of going from 75 people to Summer Jam, basically not overnight, but almost overnight in that sense? What was the feeling like? What did that teach you? What did you learn?
It was just another chapter. You know, I met good people along the way. That's the shit that really, you know, and realizing that the trajectory of hip hop on the West Coast, that I was a part of that. You know what I'm saying? And like seeing it rise to prominence. I remember being on the road, people weren't fucking with hip hop. You know, we go to radio stations and they would say, no rap, no rap. You know, they would like beat their chest about that shit. Like it was something where we were on the outside looking in. And a lot of younger people that may watch this, they don't know. You know, you grow up just like you grow up having an iPhone or being online or some shit. They grew up listening to rap and that being the shit. That's always been the shit, right? Well, rap was brand new, you know, back then. And a lot of people in the R&B and the soul communities didn't fuck with it. They didn't want to see a change, you know.
I mean, it's hard to believe. You know, I grew up in Maryland, right between Baltimore and D.C., 20 miles from each. And thankfully, I could get both D.C. and Baltimore radio stations. But back when I was growing up, there might be 1 or 2 hours a week on each station. So I had to kind of create a little chart for myself of like, oh, this station's playing rap on Thursday night and this one on Tuesday morning. You know, it was just wild.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly right. I had a little show on KDVS radio at school, that let me spread my wings. But that was a time where I could call Def Jam up, Dave Funkenklein, rest in peace. He would get on the phone and he would service whatever it is I asked for. This is back when Def Jam was, man, I'm trying to sound older than a motherfucker. It's back when Def Jam was purple and silver. That's like the Beastie Boys, Big Audio Dynamite, original concept days, like that shit. And it was cool. They were definitely the label to beat back then, back when they were like solely dedicated to hip hop.
Right.
I think Justin Bieber is on Def Jam now. So come on to Gorilla Funk when you want to hear, hardcore revolutionary shit.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you also came in as an artist, a producer, all these different things. So what made you so inclined to approach the business from so many different angles right away?
I think that DIY approach, it was born out of necessity. I gave The Devil Made Me Do It. I gave to Tommy Boy, and they couldn't put the second record out because it was talking about, because Bush Killer was on it. And, basically if I didn't pick up the reins for my own shit, nothing would happen. So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of, sink or swim negotiations with different situations, and shit ended up working out.
Yeah, well,
I just had to learn a lot, in the moment.
So what, with Bush Killer and Sleeping with the Enemy, put that out independently, it seemed as if in some ways it might have helped you, ironically, to be independent at that time.
Absolutely.
So in what ways did it help you?
Well, Sleeping with the Enemy was supposed to come out before the 92 election. And it was shopped around and delayed and bullshitted and kicked down the road long enough so that it was released after the election. And that let me know I can't really trust anybody. I got to do this shit on my own. I had to have my own shit. I had to have my own publishing. I have to have my own label. I have to have my own means of distribution. I have to have people close by that know more than I know. Because again, I was brand new in it, but I knew enough to know that I need to have, industry vets around me to really make this shit happen. And I just built relationships over the years. I'm not really an industry dude though. And there's very few artists that I actually know that I break bread. When I first got back in contact with you, I was like, man, I don't even like half these motherfuckers. And you said, I don't either. And I'm like, well, I probably ain't supposed to say that to you on your show, but it is. There's hella weirdos out here, and shit is just, man, I cannot be all things to all people. And it's amazing, especially in my case, it's amazing to me how many people like to throw the word racist around when talking about me, when all I ever do is bang on people that do wrong to us, right? So if you have a white supremacist mindset and you don't have an issue with racism and it's not a deal killer for you, and I jump on you and you get, offended by that and want to say that I'm prejudiced, well, you need to look at yourself, right? Because I don't just talk about everybody just on GP. I only fuck with people that fuck with me.
Yeah, well, that's why I was glad when we reconnected this time, because I was like, man, got to do, the type of interview we would do back in the day over the phone or something. When I would just write an article,
right?
Now it'll be a little different because it's video, but it's just so much. It's so much. But the thing that is always intriguing to me too, that you also had great success with Conscious Daughters in the sense that they were, different than you in so many ways. So why do you think that they resonated with people so much?
Because they were real, and they could spit, and they could hang with the fellas, you know, and they had, especially Carol, you know, rest in peace, she passed away a few years back. They could hang, and they had humor, and they endeared themselves to, you know, a female perspective that needed to be empowered. You know, they showed, you know, and constantly, even though they were street as fuck, they constantly reaffirmed female empowerment. And, you know, who was not going to gravitate toward that? You know, they had a pretty rabid fan base, and the music should slap them, so it never hurt. And you know, it was just a good fix, a good fit at the time.
Now, we've had some females breaking through recently, but why do you think, generally speaking, there haven't been more in the timeline of rap that have lasted?
Because everything is sex based. You talking about female hip hop?
Yes.
Because everything is sex based. And, you know, you've seen instances of people sucking dick and making a sex tape, and then becoming billionaires. And so, like, why do you need to have fucking skills in 2020 when you can play games and do, you know, silly shit, right? So, you know, hey, I'm thankful to have come up in the era where I came up. Put it that way.
Right. Well, there it is. All right. Well, we'll definitely have to have you come back on, Paris.
Oh, man, I would definitely love to. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. But, thanks for coming through to Unique Access. Everybody,
absolutely.
If you haven't checked it out yet, listen to Safe Space Invader, Paris, in stores and everywhere worldwide. I'm Soren Baker. We'll catch y'all next time. Thanks, Paris.
Right on, Soren. Peace.